Alright, so I received this message from somebody and it took a while for me to get back to this message, but I'm going to read the message and respond back. The title of the message is Amount of Force to Use in Self-Defense, and this is the message. It says, Hi, Sifu Freddie Lee. I've been doing martial arts for a while now. I've done judo for 16 years and BJJ, boxing and Muay Thai for 5 years. You've convinced me to quit competing. I got in a bit of trouble with an MMA dick at BJJ. We were grappling and he grabbed my ass. Later, him and his buddy were harassing me in the parking lot and he tried to double leg me. I'm a pretty big girl and he is actually shorter than me. I kneed him and hit him with the left hand. He rushed in and I took him down with a judo throw. After that, I got on top. He reached for a knife and I quickly got an arm bar. He ended up biting my leg, but I still hurt his arm. His friend kicked me in the stomach and left me in a lot of pain. Later the cops got involved, they lied and I was arrested last night. My defense told me it's 2 against 1 and I can go to jail for 5 months. How do I deal with MMA bullies? BJJ guys are generally nice, but I found a lot of MMA guys to be assholes. Alright, so this is my feedback overall. So they're grappling, he grabbed her ass. Alright, so from there, I think what could have happened is she could have filed a complaint about that right there and say that that's a violation. That this is not a part of, you know, the training, that, you know, he was basically doing something sexual and violating her rights, and get him on that. Because I just recently saw an article actually about a pilot who grabbed a 14-year-old girl's ass, and then she complained and had him locked up, and he actually got convicted, and they said that he could face up to 5 years in prison for grabbing her ass. Now, I personally think that's pretty damn, like, harsh sentence. 5 years for grabbing somebody's ass, but I talked to my wife about it, I talked to my friend about it, and they think that that's not harsh. But whatever the case may be, the law basically punished this person pretty severely. So it shows that the power of what the law can do to protect women in these scenarios. This woman obviously is not 14 years old that got her ass grabbed, but she could complain and the same outcome could be. I mean, the guy could still get in big trouble for doing that, you know. But so then these people were harassed, so she basically should have complained first. Then the police would have been on her side immediately because she didn't fight. She didn't like it's not like he grabbed her ass and then she punched him in the face. No, but if he grabs her ass and then she complains to the police, then he's going to be the one in the wrong, and then hopefully he's the one who's going to get punished. But this is what happens. She doesn't complain to the police, but then him and his buddy harassing her in the parking lot, and then now the fight breaks out, okay? And they just started fighting, and as she stated, you know, all this stuff goes on, and they're fighting in the parking lot. Now, they fight in the parking lot. I don't know how the cops got involved. I don't know who called the cops, but she's not given enough information to know exactly what's going on. But basically, if they're fighting in the parking lot, she was supposed to call the cops first to basically complain about these people that tried to hurt her. Then usually the cops will side with the person that calls, you know. But okay, if she doesn't call and then somebody else's call or they call, I would recommend to not even say what happened to the police, but to tell, you know, to obtain an attorney and tell him the story and let him figure out what the information to present to the police. you know. But basically, that's what I would recommend. You know, I mean, it's just not, you know, it's just, if you want the police to be on your side, you pretty much have to call first. But if the other people call and they tell them their story, then the police will maybe start believing them, and then they're gonna lock you up. But if they lock you up, put the cuffs on you, then I say don't even say anything. Let the, you know, talk to your lawyer about it and have them figure this thing out. But, you know, from her situation, as I stated, you know, he grabbed, you know, the person already created a violation at first from grabbing her ass. She should have basically took, if she wanted the police to get involved, she should have taken care of it right there. Alright, and then, but she didn't. And then if the fight goes in the parking lot, you just have to do what you have to do to survive that situation. F the police and what's going to happen after. You just survive the situation. Okay, you survive the situation, then you need to call the police first to report them as the aggressors. Okay, and then just tell the police what happened. As far as like, I mean, if you call police, then you may actually take it a step further and even say more things of what, you know what I'm saying, to really make it seem like you were the victim and you had to protect yourself. You know, that's if you call. But if you don't call, somebody else calls, the police show up, and then they hear their story first, then don't speak. You basically let your lawyer, tell your lawyer, and have him take care of basically the whole thing, you know, as far as like coming up with what you're gonna say in a defense, because they still need to prove what really did happen. But the problem is, if there's no witnesses, they got both of them, their word against yours. But at the same time, you know, it's still word against word, but then the police will also give information of what type of injuries there were and things like that. I mean, if they're injured more than you are, and then they got the story saying that you're the aggressor, then, you know, it just all depends on what's going to happen in the court. But as I stated, first you're supposed to complain on the first violation. Then the police should have been on your side. And then right after, but you fail to do that, and then you get in a fight. Get in a fight, you do what you do to survive, whatever that case, whatever it is, and you did everything that you're supposed to do. You survived the situation. Right there, you're supposed to call police and then label them, you know, to say that they're the aggressors and tell them your side of the story. You know, but yeah, you tell them your side of the story. You know, but if for some reason you fail to notify the police again, and then other people call the police, then you need to stay silent and just let the lawyer take care of it. But the fact of the matter is, you know, even though you might be in jail for 5 months, whatever, you survive the situation, and that is the most important. You know, but for the future, you probably have to learn to not let it escalate to something physical. You know, you could just complain right away. Just like that woman, that 14-year-old girl did to that guy in the plane. The dude grabbed her ass. She complained, she got him locked up, and he might be facing 5 years. That's what you had to do. But once it escalates to something physical, you just have to do what you have to do to survive. And then be the first one to call the police and label them as the aggressors. You know, and just point everything at them and make them appear to be the worst aggressors in the world. And that's another thing, you know, when you defend yourself, sometimes you don't want to hurt them too much, because then it can make you look worse. So if you could defend yourself without putting too many marks on them, that would be it'd be like the best. But the more you mark them up, you know, they got a bloody nose, got broken bones, all this stuff, and then you're just fine, then it could, you know, it may not be as believable that they were the aggressors. They, you know, the police may start to think that you're the one who was aggressive towards them. So there's just a lot of factors involved, but I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, they had two of those guys coming at you. I don't know what really went down, but I don't know how the police could side with them. It just doesn't make sense to me, because there's two guys against a female. It just doesn't make sense unless you gave just too much information to the police, and then they just felt that you were not like in fear and that you had an advantage over them, and you know, you hit them first, or whatever the case may be. I mean, you might have given way too much information, and that's what got you in trouble. You know, you need to limit that. You can't talk to the police. Just stay silent and let the lawyer take care of it. You know, I think you maybe just gave too much information to the police, and they just figured that, you know, you're actually the aggressor because you weren't supposed to do all that. You know, they might have been saying stuff to you, but then you hit them first when it didn't even need to be escalated to that. But you're the one who escalated it, and then it just turned into something more. I don't know exactly what went down, but maybe you just talked to the police too much. And then they just been like, they decided at that moment that you were the aggressor, and that's not good. You basically need to just, when the police show up, if you didn't call them, then you shut your mouth, you don't say nothing. But if you call the police, then you put all the negativity onto them as the aggressors. You know, and then they would have to prove that you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? That you were lying, you know. So that's my feedback, you know. And they even advised me when I was in the police academy that once you get in a critical incident, you have to call. You got to be the first one that calls. You can't just like sit on it. You got to be the first one that calls, because that's typically gonna steer the police towards, you know, being on your side. But if you fail to call, then this could be what happens, you know. So hopefully everything turns out okay.